Darkwood is a horror survival game that has challenged my expectations with perspective. If you were to tell me about a horror game from a top-down perspective a few years ago, I would probably answer something along the lines of, "That can't be scary." Well, I'm happy Darkwood is one of those games that had me glad to be wrong. In fact, it's such a good experience that I find myself frequently restarting a playthrough from time to time. It has grown on me, and I like how tranquil it can be, as chill as hopeless forest infested with eldritch plant monsters go, of course. The developers wanted to create an experience without any cheap jump scares in it, and they succeeded. Most of the horror from Darkwood springs from its visuals, emerging gameplay, and the impending sense of doom you get from things knocking your doors down. On top of that, it's a very strong survival experience with a lot of exploration and inventory management, which is a very big selling point if you're a hoarder like I am. Darkwood was developed by a small independent Polish team called Acid Wizard Studio, comprising about 3 people and a dog. Its making was quite an enormous task for them, with each member being subject to at least one nervous breakdown during development, to the point where they had to take a year-long rest after the release. Speaking of which, the game first went out publicly on the Pirate Bay of all places, where you can still download a torrent of it completely for free. The reasoning of Acid Wizards behind this stems from their childhood where, was it not for piracy, they wouldn't have been introduced to gaming the same way. Additionally, they expect you to return the favor if you can by buying a real copy when you can afford, so long as you don't buy it from a key reseller. It's rare to find developers encouraging piracy of their games, let alone provide it. They earn more than my respect for that. With that little tangent out of the way, what is Darkwood all about? Your initial introduction to this setting is the recounting of a doctor living out in the forest as some sort of plague is breaking out. Not just any kind of forest, mind you, as whatever is affecting the people has affected the forest, unless it's the other way around. Things are not really explained to you from the start, and they don't necessarily become clear as you progress. The only thing that matters is that you are probably fucked. And then, you're in. Just like that. You get into the shoes of the doctor and have to live your life. But things are quickly going to change. As you venture out to search for gasoline, you come across a stranger holding some kind of key, one that the doctor believes is his way out of the forest. And to understand what it leads to, he intends to squeeze that information from the stranger one way or the other. From then on, you instead take control of the stranger and try to make your way out of the doctor's house. Once you manage to be free, he's already gone. And whatever lurks outside doesn't wait for an invitation. At this point, you're done with the prologue, and your journey is only at the very beginning. Darkwood's introduction is very strong. It sets the tone right, gives you a nice preview of the ungodly clunkiness of your character, and gives you proper motivations to survive, besides the basic human reflex to not throw yourself into a wood chipper.
Oh, fuck.
Let's talk about the gameplay first. Bear in mind that I don't mean clunky as a negative. In my eyes, it serves the right purpose of making you feel unfit for battle, which you will painfully become aware of once you are in danger. Every move costs stamina, and you can't really trust your health bar to save you if the previous is down to 0. Running, dodging, attacking, all these things will cost a moderate amount at best, and only get more exhausting as you keep doing them. The range is also pretty limited, be it because of the small cone that you can see in, or the fact that you are no Olympic javelinist. You will mostly try to defend yourself with melee weapons throughout the early game, which have about the range you would expect from an axe or a shovel. I say try, because it only takes a slip up for you to be out of sync with an enemy that will profit from your exhaustion or bad positioning to chomp your guts. The middle and later game are where firearms get involved, but don't take that as a blessing. Some of them are single shots, munitions are rare or expensive, and aiming generally demands a lot more time than your life expectancy gives you. Either way, you'll have to take the fight to your enemies if you wish to make it out. That is, if you even know what's attacking you. Darkwood is split into 2 very different experiences. One of them is the day, which we'll get to, and the other is the night. If you've ever played Minecraft, this won't sound too alien. Whenever night falls, you'll have to make it back to your hideout. From there, you can trap or barricade the entrances, spend some fuel to turn on the generator so you can see a bunch, and then pray, because this is where the Minecraft analogy falls apart. Rarely has a game made me scared of doors or steps. It's usually the monsters and what they can do to me that does the job. But in Darkwood, you can't expect what's going to happen to you past the first few nights. You can be visited by stray dogs, humans, less human things, or sometimes your furnitures will decide your blood pressure is too low. Where the top-down perspective takes full effect is when you can see some objects moving in another room without being able to know why. The worst part is, you have to stay inside, because you can't survive out there. The devs make it clear the Darkwood is unforgiving, and I believe them. I don't know what happens if I go outside at night, and I don't want to. If you are cautious and lucky, you'll make it to the next day. Daytime is where the game switches gears and asks that you explore. You need fuel for the generator, wood and metal for barricades, traps and weapons, as well as a bunch of other things that are imperative to your survival. You don't have to worry about food or water, but you can consume mushrooms via the oven, which can grant you special abilities at the cost of some downsides. It is completely optional, but you'll be glad you picked the ability to be a moth later on. Out there you will be able to visit landmarks that will be drawn on your map. You can't tell exactly where you are unless you stand next to something in particular. As you visit, you'll get more stuff, then to get back to the hideout, so you can make more stuff to venture more. It's a nice loop that can get cumbersome if you find too much, so I advise you take your time. Just not too much. On top of that, daytime is ideal to talk to locals. Some of them will visit your hideout in the morning, and some you will have to find in the world. Most of these people will offer to trade or give you information about how you can help them so that they may in turn help you. It's with these encounters that, to me, the game's visuals shine the most. If you're not into inventory management, however, I can see why this game could not be for you. As a hoarder, I constantly find myself making trips back to the hideout so I can just loot more. I frequently lack space, even when I use the workbench, and I hold out on some stuff just in the event that this piece of string might come in handy. It never does. The speed at which you drag objects also drives me crazy. I get that the stranger is in bad shape, but even my grandmother could push a desk harder. This game has often been discussed as Lovecraftian horror because of its setting, although the developers have allegedly not read Lovecraft. The game's art style is very grim, deprived of bright colors. I mean, it is bathed in greens and greys. The only exceptions are blood and fire, which tend to pop out more when they eventually make their appearance. Most of the things you see on screens are vegetative, even the living things are. It creates a very disturbing mix of part organic, part tree creatures that really homes in the state of decay the environment has fallen into. Structures are buried under masses of roots, and trees bar off any escape route the inhabitants could have taken. The visuals play a lot in the experience, both in limiting the amount you can see from above the tree's canopy for gameplay, as well as leaving your imagination to fill in the details of what you can still see. When it comes to darkness, Darkwood is indeed very dark. You cannot see in the dark without a light source, and I don't expect to make it more than 5 meters away without one. All of this pairs up with the audio design to create an eerie and haunting place. Sounds are brutal on Darkwood. You can hear splinters of wood coming out of your door when something is trying to break it down. Guns are loud, and so are the monsters you try to use them on. Even the dark will not be merciful enough to grace you with silence. Ambient sounds are everything in this game. You will be out listening for anything suspicious, and your main way of seeing enemies before they see you is to think of yourself as a sonar. You can usually tell from which direction something is coming, even if you can't actually see it. You won't be drowned under the music either as you do so, at least not on default settings. Speaking of, the soundtrack does an amazing job at having very calm and serene tracks during the morning, or very intriguing ones with characters, and of course, it gets very ominous here and there, with the right amount of terror when the scenes call for it. That's overall what I love about Darkwood. It nails a sense of dread and fascination that's unlike anything I have experienced anywhere else. I don't know how it does that, but I guess Finnish wizards have that kind of power. No matter what, I find myself drawn to the Darkwood. I haven't actually finished it, and a part of me doesn't want to. I always have something to come back for, and the procedurally generated map will always keep things different for me. But what really drives me to adoration with it is the art. I didn't know I was into tree and mushroom beings as much as I am before I played this game. And Darkwood explores it in a very body horror manner that does reminiscences of Lovecraft in some parts. In many ways, many people experience transcendence in the Darkwood, although it is horrifying to watch. And it lures me deeper and deeper the more I look at it. Thanks again for stopping by on my 5-year late review on Darkwood. I have had many thoughts about it for quite a while, and I felt that going over them in like this would give me some kind of closure in spite of never finishing it. I will probably replay it, but I'm not quite sure I want that story to end. As a reminder, the game is available on the Pirate Bay if you can tolerate a potentially buggy version. It's also available on Steam, Epic and GOG. Plus, you can get it for half the price quite often. I deeply encourage you to buy a copy if you can, because they really deserve it. I probably won't see you for another couple of months, so see you in the woods.